This is the future of FBA unless something is done.
This video is brought to you by the Spider Combat Arena. Support the Kickstarter today.
Oh my goodness. So I'm sure you guys have seen this anti-black racist who is masquerading as a comedian. This individual has gone viral for all of the wrong reasons, okay? I mean, people know his name for all of the wrong reasons. And there were so many ways to analyze what took place in this clip. But I think the biggest thing that, I can look at is the reaction, okay? That is the biggest thing to actually address, is the reaction. And you have this anti-black racist who's making comments about George Floyd.
Oh man, all these good ass white people at my show. And you wanted to show them the reason George Floyd got his neck nailed on. It's just a joke, man. I would have never kneeled on George Floyd's neck. I would have shot that nigga. That was...
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
In response to these comments, you have black women who left the room.
All right, you offended too, baby, with the braids? You offended too? God damn, man, stop.
That's what happened. And it's really a travesty. It's really a travesty to see black men who are buck broken, who actually, in some case, in the video, they give them a pound and they're laughing about it.
Oh, but you fuck with me a little bit, right? See that? Yeah.
Beta. There's another one who says, hey, we're not going anywhere. You can see as far as where, when it comes to any other group, where they are due to the success or the unsuccess of their men. And that is what we're dealing with. You have this buck breaking that is occurring, and it's specifically targeted towards black men. So moving on, you of course are going to have the SNS group, as I call them. And what the SNS group is your Sambos and Saltines. That's naturally going to happen with any type of event like this, because you have to understand you're going to have those Sambos who are going to defend anti-black rhetoric. Their main purpose in existing, the reason why they get as far as funded, is to be a shield for anti-black racists. That is their sole purpose. They don't have an original opinion of their own, but they use the title of free thinker to do this shield, to do their bidding. Nothing more than proxies, nothing more than tools. And then, of course, you have the Saltines who try, which is interesting to me, who want to frame this as black people being snowflakes. I'm sorry. When I heard people try to say, oh, they're just being snowflakes, they're being sensitive, I find that absolutely just manipulative. And I think that goes back into their lineage of evil. Because what you have to understand, these are the same people who wanted to boycott the NFL for players taking a knee in protest to the state slaughtering its citizens. That's the type of fragility we're talking about, okay? I want you to understand, these are the same group of people that I guarantee, if this anti-black racist were to make jokes about Ashley Babbitt, guess what would happen? They would have left. They would have stormed the room. The same group of people want to talk about, hey, we got to defend the police, defend the police. When it happens to be an officer, a black officer they don't like, then all of a sudden, now it's defending the criminal. Now all of a sudden, hey, it's Ashley Babbitt. She's the hero. So I find it hilarious how they try to manipulate and they will reframe their behavior as the norm. They will reframe anything they do as righteous, as pure, as holy, as sanctified, okay? Ordained by God in some cases, as we've seen throughout history. And anything you do is wrong, it's evil, it's wicked, it's vile, okay? It's heinous, all right? That just goes to show their lineage of evil, and clearly their lineage is still present today. But going back to the reaction of the crowd, I think it's a testament, and I think it's emblematic of where we are as a country, where we will always be, unfortunately. And that is the understanding that many white people, the majority, I would say, are anti-black racists. It is what it is. And whether it's by active or passive racism, because this is the argument that they wanted to say when it comes to slavery. Only a couple of groups of white people own slaves. But here's the thing. How many did business with those people who owned slaves? The North can say, well, we didn't have any slaves, but how many of you did transactions with the Southerners who had slaves? Okay, that's all already well documented. So what they do is they try to claim, purity. Hey, I had nothing to do with this. But in the meantime, between time, they're actually funding this horror that they think is so bad. How are you going to, as far as buy products that were created by slavery and then say, well, I don't own these slaves? This is the whole cake and eat it too. It's the duplicitous nature of this lineage of evil. So when we have these individuals, you can look, the black people left. All right, kudos to them for staying on code. And I'll get to the code later on in the video. But look at the vast majority of the people who are sitting there and laughing. Nothing but a bunch of anti-black racist saltines, all sitting there and laughing, looking at this performative tap dance, okay? This essentially is blackface to a certain extent, because that's what they're paying for him to tap dance and entertain them. And, oh, good job. Keep on tap dancing for us, boy. That's what we're dealing with. And they sit there and laugh. Now, as I said before, do you think they'd be laughing if he had made jokes about Ashley Babbitt? Do you think they'd sit there and be laughing, all right, if he had made jokes out about Israel? I'm just saying. I'm just curious. Just curious. You tell me. So I want you to understand that is evil. That is wicked. And this is what it boils down to. This is the problem with staying on code. Because when it comes to being FBA, I understand people want to talk about, hey, we got to stay on code. The code in and of itself is meaningless without enforcement. The law, let's take an example for the law. People don't fear the law, right? When it says, hey, do 35 or do 65, people don't fear going 80. They don't fear doing 40. That's not what they fear. They fear the repercussions for them being caught breaking the law. That's what they fear. They fear the repercussions from violating the law. So when we have a code and we are without code enforcers, then the code is meaningless. If we have people like this anti-black racist that suffers no repercussions from his anti-black behavior, then the code is meaningless. There has to be, along with the code, has to be code enforcers. Leaving the show is not good enough. All right? It's not good enough. There has to be social repercussions for this type of behavior. I would go a little further, but there are limitations to what I can and can't say on this platform. But there has to be repercussions for such anti-black behavior, especially from within. If we can't filter our own, and best believe these saltines do not want that to happen. In many cases, they don't allow that to happen.
Oh, but you fuck with me a little bit, right? See that? Yeah.
Because you have to understand, when it comes to the anti-black systemic racism in this country, it is funded and promoted by non-black people. That is correct. Every single person there, laughing, sitting down, joking it up, was non-black. They were non-black and they were funding this anti-black racism. And as long as there are people like this anti-black buffoon we see on stage, guess what? There will always be someone to spew out this anti-black drivel. But I would argue, if there were repercussions, just as there are repercussions you wearing the wrong color in the wrong hood, if there were repercussions like that for these people, guess what? That you wouldn't be able to find someone, because there has to be a pressure point. There has to be an understanding that, hey, these racist saltines are paying me to spew out this anti-black rhetoric, but at the same time, the repercussion for me doing this far outweighs any financial gain that I may gather. That's what needs to happen. There has to be a pain point that they understand it's not worth it. They need to understand that by you doing this, it's not worth the repercussions of those actions. Whatever check that they're giving you, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. They have to feel that. They have to experience that pain, okay, in order to alter their actions. But as long as there is no, as I said, enforcement, this is the future of FBA. This is the future of us as a people. Where when I say extinct, and I did a video on this when we have 5 years, I said 5 years until we are extinct. This is what I'm talking about. To the point where the only way for you to make a living, the only way for you to even be seen is for you to be tap dancer. That's correct. And if that's the future you want, we keep on going this way. But if it's not, some of our FBA leaders, we have got to organize and create processes and organizations and actions to mitigate said behavior. And there's a litany of ways to do it, okay? I can think of one that is really effective. Because they own our image. There is no one else who is fighting for us. They have, as far as paid off our leaders, they have done everything in their power, this lineage of evil, to undermine us as a group. Okay? And it's very hard for us to filter ourselves, for us to prevent harmful behaviors within the group if we have no control over the group. And these demons know that, because they will bastardize the culture and promote it to us, and then at the same time profit off of it. They profit off of it more ways than one. I want you to think about that. They show this degeneracy, which is their perverse perspective of the culture, in order to profit off of it. Now, when that perverse culture happens to have negative impacts on the communities, they profited off of it due to what? The prison system. So they're double dipping in many cases. Think about that. These people are wicked. They are evil. And if you think that that John Brown, that, there's going to be a couple of good white people who are going to save us, it's not going to happen. Those good white people who may have walked out, because there were a couple of white people who walked out, but the vast majority stayed. Think about that. I want you to think about that. The vast majority stayed. Yes, there were a few white people that walked out, but those few white people are just as powerless as we are. That's correct. They're just as powerless. They have no say-so. They will, if these bunch of saltines wanted to be violent, they would attack them for being, as far as race traitors. They would attack them for being you-know-what lovers. That's what they would do. These people are wicked. You have to understand this. And they've created a system of wickedness to attack one group again and again and again and again. They go out of their way to malign us. But we know, as well as they know, we're more powerful than what they want us to believe. So I think it's time for us to engage in that power and implement some systems that benefit us. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. Whether or not you actually know, there is no either or to this story. There is none. Because it's evil. It is evil versus good. It is evil versus righteousness. That's what we are dealing with. Okay? To try and say, well, we have to look at it from a different way. There is no looking at it from the devil's perspective. There is no trying to justify evil from the devil's perspective. That is not what we do. We call out evil. We call out the evil that is this anti-black racism. We call out the evil that are these demons who will promote and fund such anti-black racism. And then try to frame it as, oh, you just too sensitive. Imagine that. Imagine that. These are the same people crying over TV commercials having black people in it, have the audacity to call you sensitive. They are the same people who want to talk about, oh, this is anti-white, because they're saying that, Jamal has the same qualifications as little Timmy, and they hired Jamal. That's racism. Imagine that. The wicked people, bro. Not all, but many of them, vast majority, are wicked. Okay? Now, if you happen to disagree with this video, you're more than welcome to call in during disagreement days, which are typically held Friday through Sunday. There will be a number on the screen. You call in, and we duke it out. Either or, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, share, comment. I expect some fragility in the comments as always. Okay, I expect some red herrings, some false equivocation, all of their tactics that they use to defend their wicked behavior. Subscribe and follow and all that fun stuff. Till next time, guys, be amazing. And actions to mitigate said behavior.